This suit used to mean something when the shoulders still sat square, when the cuffs could catch a ballroom and the ladies used to stare. Now one button's gone to memory, one sleeve shines from the strain, and I wear it like a promise that got caught out in the rain. You said a man ought keep some pride where the whole world cannot see, but pride don't pay the tailor, and it sure don't pardon me. I've been sleeping light as paper in a room above the tracks, with my Sunday hanging crooked and my weekdays on my back. Ain't nothing left in this suit but the shape of what I tried, a crease where hope once held itself, a pocket full of pride. If loving you was fine enough to make a poor man mute, then heartbreak's got the last word and is wearing out this suit. I took it to a mender down on Clay in 92. She turned it in her weathered hands and sighed, what can I do? Said the cloth had lost its argument, the lining lost its nerve. There are garments meant in love affairs no stitches really serve. Still I paid her for her kindness and the coffee on the stove. Walked the avenue where every store had something I couldn't own. Saw my face in darkened windows, long and tired, bent and thin, like a man who keeps on entering the rooms he's failed to win. Ain't nothing left in this suit but the shape of what I tried, a crease where hope once held itself, a pocket full of pride. I button up the evening, but the night sees through the ruse. There's a whole sad education in a gentleman's old blues. Maybe Clove remembers dancing, maybe war remembers heat, maybe love leaves chalk marks on you where the body can't repeat. If you saw me now, you'd know me by the way I smooth the front, like I could press my life back flat and make the damage blunt. But every bar stool in this district knows the truth before I sit. I've been living on appearances, too afraid to still be fit. So play me something low and kind, let the saxophone translate how a man can lose with dignity and still arrive too late. I'll hang this jacket by the window when the morning comes to roost, a flag for all that's leaving and the little that's reduced. Ain't nothing left in this suit but the shape of what I tried, a crease where hope once held itself, a pocket full of pride. And if I walk out bare of glamour, stripped of alibi and loot, let the whole town say I loved her till there was nothing left but suit.
I bought a red tie from a pawn shop man who swore it once saw Paris. for $5 and a story, both of doubtful strength and merit. Still it shined against my white shirt like a dare a fool could wear. So I knotted up that bright mistake and took it out somewhere. At Roscoe's little supper club, the band was tuning low, and every glass in that dim room had somewhere else to go. Then you walked in with your lawyer smile and gloves a shade of cream, and looked me over like I'd wandered from the wrong side of a dream. Blue luck in a red tie, that's what I wore when you caught my eye. Had no business reaching that high, but a man can live on one good try. Blue luck in a red tie. You asked if I was waiting there, I said maybe I am now. You laughed the kind of dangerous laugh that signs but don't avow. We danced one slow and then a swing and sat with contraband ease, while your bracelet flashed in rhythm with a drummer's little tease. You said your world was polished brass, mine smelled of smoke and shift. I said that's true, but both can fall if the night's in mind to lift. You tilted back your drink and said, well, maybe let's not plan like heaven rents by evening to a temporary man. Blue luck in a red tie, that's what I wore when you caught my eye. No pedigree, no alibi, just borrowed nerve and a clean reply. Blue luck in a red tie, I knew by your pronunciation and the ring kept in your bag. You belong to cleaner tablecloths than this side of the drag. But music is a crooked ladder, and moonlight's easily misapplied. So I climbed as far as laughter in my second-hand strip of pride. By one you kissed my cheek outside and flagged a waiting car. Said don't come making history from who people briefly are. Then pressed a number in my hand I knew you wouldn't mean. Still a false note can ring handsome if the room is right and keen. I walked home through the avenue with trumpet in my chest, that red tie loose, my cheap shoes loud, my failure looking dressed. And though I never saw you more, I keep that silk nearby for nights when hope needs color and a man prefers to try. Blue luck in a red tie, that's what I wore when you caught my eye. Lost the game, but Lord, that sky almost made a poor man dignified. Blue luck in a red tie.
Fine with silence and a disciplined old gin, sitting far enough for strangers, close enough to let it in. Your glove beside the candle, my hat down by my knee, both of us pretending there was nowhere else to be. Then the band leader nodded, and the tenor found its mark. Lay one long blue sentence through the middle of the dark. You looked up like a window when a storm begins to press, and I knew that horn remembered what our mouths had left unguessed. Don't let the saxophone start. It goes straight for the weak part. I've got my stories tied down tight till that horn does the night. Don't let the saxophone start. It knows too much about the heart. You said we're older now than trouble. Let's be civil, let's be wise. While your finger traced the water rain and never met my eyes, I said sure in that tired manner men use when they want war. Then the drummer brushed the snare like rain against the distant door. The room got small and secrets broad as all we used to miss. That sax climbed up above us like the memory of a kiss. And every careful sentence that we'd polished into stone turned back into something barefoot, ragged, reckless, and our own. Don't let the saxophone start. It goes straight for the weak part. We can manage talk and smoke and light till that horn rewrites the night. Don't let the saxophone start. It knows too much about the heart. No judge on earth is crueler than a melody played low. It drags the truth up by the collar, makes a body let it show. When the solo finally faded, you were smiling sad and thin, like someone watching good sense lose and not mind who might win. You said walk me to the corner, and I did, of course I did. With all the old unrest returning from the places it was hid. At the curb you touched my lapel, let your hand stay smart. Not quite a plea, not quite farewell, but dangerous in part. Then the light changed and the city pulled your figure down the block, leaving me in that damn saxophone alone with what it unlocked. Don't let the saxophone start. It goes straight for the weak part. A man can live by daylight's rules, but nighttime makes romantic fools. Don't let the saxophone start. It knows too much about the heart. came in through the back of St. Luke's after midnight in the rain. Not for preaching, not for saving, just to sit a spell with pain. The candles had all gone to puddles, flowers bowed their heavy heads, and somebody's forgotten prayer was folded in the pew instead. I ain't no shining testimony, ain't no prodigal made clean, just a tired man with too much memory where peace should have been. Then old Sister Alma saw me there and didn't ask me why. Set a kettle on the hot plate and let the silence testify. If mercy had a back door, I know the scrape of that floor. I'd come in soaked and shaken, same as before. If mercy had a back door, she said, son, some wounds quit bleeding long before they quit their ache. Pour the tea like plain instruction any soul could undertake. I told her how I lost my woman, half through fear and half through pride. How love stood in the doorway twice, and both times I stepped aside. She nodded like she'd heard that tune in every key but one. Said regret can dress up noble, but it still won't get things done. Then the organ from the sanctuary gave one low accidental breath, like the building had its own old thoughts on heartbreaking on death. If mercy had a back door, I know the scrape of that floor. No trumpets, no lightning, no holy uproar, just room for a broken man to ask for more. If mercy had a back door, oh, maybe grace don't always meet you under stained and shining glass. Maybe it waits beside the boiler till your stubborn footsteps pass. Before I left, she pressed my hand and said, go sleep while sleep is near. When morning asks what's left of you, offer it sincere. So I stepped back out to the alley with the rain gone soft and thin. No miracle, no choir roll, but a little less caved in. And if I see that woman I love, I'll speak my wrongs out plain. Not to win back what I squandered, just to stop rehearsing pain. For some nights the finest gospel ain't in what the righteous sing. It's in a back room with weak tea and the kindness ordinary people bring. If mercy had a back door, I know the scrape of that floor. I'd come in flawed and human, nothing more, and still be let in through mercy's back door. Your kitchen light was on again, 1:15. Same yellow little witness after all the talking's done. I came by with a sack of limes and half a loaf of bread. You said set it on the counter, never looking up instead. There was mail beside the sugar bowl, the serious kind with seals, and that old fan above the stove, chopping up what a body feels. You stood there in your stocking feet, hair pinned any old way, looking like the sort of truth that makes a liar out of day. Under that kitchen light, everything gets plain. No place left for sweet perfume, no curtain left for rain. You can break me with a teaspoon, you can save me with a smile. Under that kitchen light, baby, we tell the truth a while. You said the landlord raised the rent, your sister's boy got sick, the sink's been making noises, and the clock runs fast and quick. I said the shop cut half my hours, my back's no friend of mine. You poured 2 cups of coffee black and pushed one down the line. No music but the icebox and the traffic down the block. A whole love affair balancing on the edge of ordinary talk. Then you touched the scar above my brow from that warehouse loading gate, like checking if the man you knew had been replaced by a weight. Under that kitchen light, everything gets plain. No place left for practice lines or pleasure dressed as pain. You can wound me with your honesty, heal me all the while. Under that kitchen light, baby, we tell the truth a while. We ain't got no silver candelabras, no strings, no fancy view, just a table with one bad leg and a reason to come through. You said I cannot promise much, except I hate goodbye. I said I'm not asking for forever, just don't hand me lies. And somewhere in the hallway pipes began their midnight song, and we leaned into the silence like we'd both been proud too long. I left before the sunrise with your handprint on my sleeve. Not a vow to build a palace, just enough not to leave. Some love bloom in ballrooms, some in rooms too small for pride, and some are held together by the things they don't divide. Under that kitchen light, everything gets plain. Still I'd come 1,000 nights to stand there in that rain. If the world keeps asking questions I can't answer with a smile. Under that kitchen light, baby, we tell the truth a while. tried to quit First Street for 6 good months and change. Took the bus on other avenues, let my habits rearrange. But every road at evening got a bend that felt the same, like the city had one loose tooth and Third was still its name. That's where you used to meet me, in that narrow little bar with the green shaded lamps and the peonies from Dakar. You'd order rye, no water, and laugh before you'd sip, like happiness was contraband you kept beneath your lip. My heart owes Third Street more than money, more than pride, for all the nights it lent me somewhere warm enough to hide. I can pay the jukebox, pay the tab, pay every debt I meet, but I still can't settle what I owe to old Third Street. There's a tailor near the corner and a pawn shop by the light, a woman selling lilies way too elegant for a night, a shoe shine boy with trumpet dreams tapping out a swing. And all of them have watched me be a less than careful thing. Since you left, the block still keeps your outline in the air, in the doorway of the record shop in perfume, smoke and glare. Even the bouncer with a scar who never knew my name looks at me like memory and pity are the same. My heart owes Third Street more than money, more than pride, for all the times it held me up when I came unstitched inside. Love may leave no forward in address, no note, no clear retreat, but it leaves a running balance due on old Third Street. If I loved you wrong, I did it deep. If I stayed too long, I didn't sleep. If the night keeps books on what men lose, then mine abound in ballroom blues. Tonight I'll take the corners slow and let the storefronts preach. Let the saxophone from somewhere dim play what words can't reach. I won't ask the past to bless me or the future to be sweet. I'll just stand where all that wanting learned the taste of heat. And if I see your reflection in a bus window pass me by, I'll tip my hat to phantom luck and let it idle by. Some debts ain't made for clearing, just carrying with grace, like a street that knows your footsteps and still offers you a place. My heart owes Third Street more than money, more than pride, for all the nights it lent me somewhere warm enough to hide. I can pay the landlord, pay for drinks, pay for old defeat, but I still can't settle what I owe to old Third Street. The clock above the bar runs slow when rain gets in the wires. Cab lights smear along the curb like cheap electric fires. You walked in just past closing time, or maybe just before. In this town the night keeps changing, what a moment's for, yeah. Your coat was dark with river mist, your eyes with missing sleep. You smile like somebody with a promise they can't keep. Said I only got a minute, but it opened wide somehow, and every sound in the room bent softly towards the now. Neon slips a minute when your shadow crosses by. Streetcars lose their schedules and the moon forgets the sky. I was counting out my heartbeats, nice and steady, nice and pretty. Then time took off its wristwatch in this sleepless city. Piano man played half a tune he swore he'd played before, but the chords came back in different shoes across the floor. Your hand around the coffee cup made steam look almost blue, and the jukebox held its breath a little longer over you. Outside, a siren passed us like a memory in haste. Inside, the bourbon and the brass left velvet on the taste. You said don't make a future from a thing that's passing through, but the whole room leaned and lingered like it hadn't heard from you. Neon slips a minute when your shadow crosses by. Streetcars lose their schedules and the moon forgets the sky. I was living by the numbers every landlord loves to pity. Then time took off its wristwatch in this sleepless city. Maybe midnight's just a drifter with a room key and a grin. Maybe all us lonely people let the wrong hours in. Maybe nothing really happened, were the headline or a scar, just your laugh against the glassware and my name beneath the bar. When you left, the door stayed open half a second more than right, and the whole place seemed to stagger in the aftertaste of light. I asked the man for one last pour. He said, son, that's up to you. As if choice was still a solid thing a body could hold to. The clock above the bottles gave a tired little tick, like it knew some nights go crooked and never quite come slick. I walked home under windows where the dawn looked thin and shy, still feeling how the hours move whenever you went by. Neon slips a minute when your shadow crosses by. Streetcars lose their schedules and the moon forgets the sky. I was counting out my hard luck like a good and faithful ditty. Then time took off its wristwatch in this sleepless city. She works the breakfast counter when the moon ain't fully gone. Pours the trucker's coffee like she's putting daylight on. Hair tied up in scarlet, shoes clicking like command. Caballing 6 whole plates and still ignore a greedy hand. I come in off the graveyard shift with grease upon my cuffs. She says, honey, sit and eat before your face forgets its stuff. Calls everybody darling, but don't mean the same thing twice. And if you get too clever, she can freeze you with the ice. She's the queen of the 7 a.m. Rules that chrome and clatter kingdom just on grit and hem. Toast pops up and men stand down. She don't need no gym. Long live the queen, long live the queen of the 7 a.m. There's a cop who leaves his badge talk where his wedding should begin. There's a salesman full of weather and a boxer with one win. There's a preacher reading racing sheets beneath his holy hat. She keeps the whole creation fed and never mentions that. I said, girl, when do you sleep? She said, when fools stop telling lies. Then winked and spun a syrup jug beneath the neon sky. She knows who needs a kind word, who just needs hash and rye, and who is one hard sentence from a good, clean public cry. She's the queen of the 7 a.m. Runs that corner better than a courthouse ever can. Plates fly out, tips roll in, mercy on the stem. Long live the queen, long live the queen of the 7 a.m. One cold Tuesday, some fool in silk talk crooked from his stool. She leaned in sweet, took back the room and made him feel the fool. No shouting, no dramatics, just a look sharp as a tack. By the time his eggs arrived, he was apologizing back. Someday somebody's gonna offer her a wider, softer life, but I think she'd miss the jukebox and the butter knife-edged strife. There's a glory in a working hand, a beauty in command, and she wears it like a melody no band can understand. So if you're ever down on Mason with the dawn still wearing black, go where the windows steam with hope and call your backbone back. Tell her the night shift sent you and she'll fill your battered cup with coffee strong enough to make a tired man's spirit sit up. She's the queen of the 7 a.m. Crowned in steam and silverware, no need for a diadem. World walks in half broke, she sends it out with stem. Long live the queen, long live the queen of 7 a.m. Long live the queen of the 7 a.m. My landlady lives downstairs behind a door of frosted glass. Collects the rent on Wednesdays and lets no foolish business pass. Hairpin like an argument, perfume thin and dry. Got a way of saying evening that can't inventory a lie. She sweeps the hall in house shoes every morning before 9. Knows who owes, who cheats, who whispers, who comes home with borrowed shine. But after midnight, through the vent, I hear the ice in bottle tone, and a little radio proving my landlady drinks alone. The landlady drinks alone, with a low station and a highball tone. By day she's brass tacks, keys and stone. By night some old hurt claims its own. The landlady drinks alone. Third floor, Eddie says she had a man with hands as sure as rain, played cornet and a riverboat, and never stayed the same. Basement June says don't believe him, swears the lady never strayed. Says she was born with that hard mouth and that ledger heart she made. I only know she knocked one night when my lamp was burning late. Held my envelope between two fingers and said, "You're shy 388." Then glanced beyond me at the unmade bed, the collar on the chair, like she could tell the whole sad weather from the wear inside the air. The landlady drinks alone, keeps her own counsel, keeps her own. But every glass has a little moan, and every queen needs some off-duty throne. The landlady drinks alone. I saw her once out back in summer, smoking where the laundry dry, face gone soft as wet newspaper, all the iron set aside. She asked me, "You still writing songs?" I said, "Trying when I can." She said, "Try telling one plain true thing, that's the hardest work for man." This morning rent was due again, I braced myself a stone. She took the cash, then added back $1 to my palm. Said he'll break by Friday, buy yourself some decent bread. Then turned before her kindness had the chance to look like it said. All day long I held that bill like proof beneath the din that people build their armor well the weather once got in. So tonight when ice taps crystal in that room below my own, I raise my glass to unseen wars my landlady fights alone. The landlady drinks alone, with a low station and a highball tone. By day she's keys and consequence known. By night she's flesh and dust and bone. The landlady drinks alone. I took a room at the Hotel Rex with wallpaper tied in gold, a fan that shook like an alibi, a bed too mean for old. The desk man had a card game face, a tie the color of smoke. He slid the key and said, "Third floor," like it was some private joke. At 10:30 you knocked twice light, and once like you had rights. smelling of wintergreen and downtown Friday night. Said, baby, don't ask questions unless answers pay your rent. Then kiss me like a witness who had finally found consent. Trouble at the Hotel Rex, room key warm and sin. Love came through the fire door and let bad judgment in. Trouble at the Hotel Rex, thin walls, thick the sky. By morning even a mirror wouldn't look me in the eyes. Your suitcase held no proper clothes, just letters, cash and lace. A silver pistol, rouge and rage, enough to light the place. You laughed and drew the curtain shut against the alley sign. Said if anybody asks, sweetheart, your last name's the same as mine. Down the hall, a radio played some preacher raising steam. Next door, somebody argued like they built it by the screen. You laid the city on my chest and called it breathing room. Then danced me slow between the chair, the sink, the dark, the gloom. Trouble at the Hotel Rex, room key warm as sin. Love came through the fire door and let bad judgment in. Trouble at the Hotel Rex, I knew and stayed the same. There's no honest way to hold a match and not admire the flame. Around 2:30, fists and shoes went racing up the stairs. A voice yelled out your given name and emptied out the air. You touched my mouth, said not a word, then smiled that sideways smile. Like danger was a Sunday hat and you had style to spare a while. You slipped out through the laundry hall with one heel in your hand. Left lipstick on the water glass and money in the stand. When dawn crawled through the blinds at last, pale and cheap and vexed, I checked out older than I was from trouble at the Rex. The desk man didn't raise an eye, just rang his brass bell twice. Like men who rent by moonlight know the cost without the price. I hit the street with empty pockets, a story and a sting, and your laugh still in my collar like a small expensive thing. Trouble at the Hotel Rex, room key warm as sin. Love came through the fire door